The Los Angeles sun pounded down like a relentless hammer on a sweltering Thursday afternoon in early June when Zeke screeched into my garage in his battered Impala, tires squealing against the cracked asphalt. At 45, I'd been running Sable's garage on the east side for a decade. A rugged little shop with peeling paint on the cinderblock walls, a faded sign swinging above the entrance, and a steady stream of regulars who'd rather bring their beaters to me than any slick chain joint. My divorce from Colt 5 summers back had dumped this place in my lap, along with a pile of debts that loomed like a storm cloud and a stubborn determination that kept me wrenching through long, sweaty days and sleepless nights poring over the books. Zeke, my sister's 19-year-old son, rolled to a dusty halt, kicking up a gritty cloud that shimmered in the harsh sunlight. His backpack hung loose over one shoulder, and his sweaty, unshaven face carried a look of desperation that hit me square in the gut. Aunt Sable, my girlfriend, dumped me cold, and Mom's nagging is driving me up the wall. Can I crash here and help out? He pleaded, his voice tight with a mix of frustration and defeat. His steel blue eyes, shadowed with raw hurt and exhaustion, reminded me of my own dark days after Colt left, and I couldn't send him packing, not when he looked like life had just kicked him in the teeth. All right, you can bunk in the spare room upstairs, but you'll earn your keep fixing cars. No freeloaders or you're out the door, I said, wiping a smear of grease off my hands with a stained rag tucked into the pocket of my faded coveralls. He nodded quick, almost too fast, dropping his bag by the workbench with a heavy thud that echoed in the quiet bay. Thanks, Aunt Sable. I need something to keep my head busy, away from her and all that junk, you know, he mumbled, scuffing his worn sneakers against the concrete floor. Name's Sable, kid, in case you forgot who your aunt is in the middle of that breakup chaos, I said, crossing my arms with a dry half-smirk. He flashed a weak grin, faint traces of the loud, scrappy nephew I remembered from family cookouts, and shot back, I know who you are, Aunt Sable. No worries, I'm not that far gone yet. The first week, Zeke trailed me around the garage like a shadow, quiet at first, handing me tools without a word as I wrestled with a rattling engine on a '99 Ford pickup parked in our cluttered bay, its hood propped open like a patient on an operating table. He was lanky but sturdy, his skin bronzed deep from summer spent mowing lawns in Inglewood, and he picked up the basics fast, replacing worn brake pads, swapping out serpentine belts, checking oil levels without sloshing it across my freshly swept floor. I'd catch him drifting off sometimes, eyes glazed over, probably replaying that ex walking out on him, and I'd snap, Zeke, stay sharp. Hand me the 3/4 wrench now before I lose my patience. He'd blink hard, shake his head, grab the tool and mutter, sorry, zoned out, won't happen again, just got lost for a sec. I'd grunt and let it slide. I'd been there myself, staring into space after Colt bailed, and I knew he'd snap out of it with time and work. Nights, we'd pile into the cramped office at the back of the shop, 2 rickety fans buzzing against the heat, splitting a deep dish pizza from the greasy joint down the street, the box smudged with oil stains on the cluttered desk piled high with parts receipts, old coffee cups, and a dog-eared repair manual. He'd vent about how she'd ditched him for some college hotshot with a flashy car and a fancier future, and how he'd dropped out of school to find himself, whatever that meant. I'd sip my soda, leaning back in the creaky chair, and say, she's not worth your time, Zeke. Plenty of folks out there would see you've got real guts and something worth building on. He'd give a tired smirk, the kind that barely reached his eyes, and reply, maybe, but you're tougher than her, cooler too. You don't let anyone push you around. I'd shrug, years of practice, kid. Life's too short to waste on people who don't stick it out. Things settled into a rhythm over the next few days. He'd follow me through the shop, asking sharp questions about carburetors and timing belts, his hands getting steadier with every lug nut he tightened. The garage was a symphony of noise and motion, metal clanging against metal, the hum of the hydraulic lift, the sharp bite of gasoline and rubber in the air, and Zeke fit into it like he'd been born with a wrench in his hand. I'd catch him grinning when he got something right, like balancing a tire just perfect or torquing a bolt without stripping it, and I'd think maybe this was good for him, a chance to put down roots after that girl yanked his up. By the weekend, he was pulling his weight, shadowing me as I diagnosed a tricky misfire on a rusty Honda Civic, his focus sharpening with every turn of the screwdriver. You're getting it, Zeke. Keep that up and you'll be fixing these heaps solo soon, I said, wiping my hands on my rag. He nodded, a flicker of pride in his eyes. Thanks, Aunt Sable. Learning from you's the best part. Tuesday, 2 weeks in, we were still at it late. Past 10. The garage quiet except for the faint buzz of a flickering fluorescent bulb overhead, casting jagged shadows across the oil-stained floor. We'd been fighting a stubborn alternator on a Dodge minivan, my coveralls damp with sweat, my hair shoved under a bandana to keep it out of my face after hours of cursing under the hood. Lock the bay doors, we're done for tonight, I said, rolling my sore shoulders as he nodded and trudged to the front, his sneakers dragging a little on the concrete. The back office was my hideout, beat-up couch sagging in the corner, a mini fridge humming softly, a chipped sink where I scrubbed the day's grime off my hands before climbing the narrow stairs to the apartment above. I stepped in, expecting him to linger downstairs sorting tools or wiping down the bench, and started peeling off my coveralls, down to a plain tank top and shorts, the stiff fabric heavy with sweat and dirt from a long day's grind. I didn't hear his boots, no clump, no shuffle, until I turned and there he was, framed in the doorway, clutching a messy stack of invoices, eyes wide like he'd stumbled into the wrong room. Sable, Aunt Sable, I was just dropping these off, didn't know you were, changing, he stammered, staring hard at the floor. I snatched my coveralls back up, yanking them on as my face heated up, and barked, Zeke, ever hear of knocking, or at least making some noise so I know you're coming? He went red as a brake light, tripping over his words. Sorry, didn't mean to, I'll just... and bolted, papers fluttering behind him like leaves as he scrambled back to the workbench. I stood there, catching my breath, zipping up and muttering to myself that it was just a clumsy mistake, nothing to make a fuss over. When I walked out, towel in hand, he was hunched over a socket set, neck flushed pink, avoiding my gaze like he'd broken something expensive. Relax, kid, it's fine, just don't creep up like that again, I said, tossing the towel onto a chair. He nodded fast, still not looking up, and mumbled, Won't happen, sorry Aunt Sable, swear it. Wednesday morning, the air felt a little heavy. He sipped coffee in silence while I flipped pancakes on the ancient hotplate in the tiny upstairs kitchen, the smell of batter mixing with the faint tang of motor oil that clung to everything we owned. Pass the syrup, don't just sit there like a lump, I said, keeping things normal, and he slid it over with a faint grin, the tension easing a bit. We ate quietly, forks clinking against plates, the morning sun slanting through the dusty window. Later in the shop, I bent to grab a rag off the floor and caught him watching, not lost in his head anymore, but steady, like he was starting to see this place as more than a pit stop. I'd been on my own since Colt left, just me and the garage, and Zeke's quiet presence was shaking up a routine I'd let calcify too long. Chevy's in tune-up time, you're on spark plugs. Don't screw it up or we're here all night, I said, tossing him a box of plugs. He caught it clean and nodded. Got it, I'll do it right, learned from the best. He got to work, tools clicking as he pulled the old plugs and swapped them out, his hands steady and sure. I watched from the corner of my eye, impressed. He was picking this up faster than most rookies I'd seen. Not bad, Zeke, keep that focus, I said, and he grinned. Trying to, thanks for showing me how. That night, we cracked open cold Shiner Bock beers on the sagging couch out back, the day's dust settling around us like a gritty fog. She didn't get me, thought I was a nobody for liking engines, not some big fancy career, he said, staring at the bottle in his hands. I kicked back, my own beer sweating in my grip, and said, Her loss, you've got a knack, kid, better than most guys twice your age who think they know cars. He looked over, eyes brightening, and said, You're not like her, real tough, no one messes with you. I chuckled. Took years and a lot of stubbornness. Colt bailing taught me to stand my ground. He nodded slow. Glad I'm here, Aunt Sable, you're the real deal. Keep that attitude, it'll carry you far, I said, clinking my bottle against his. Thursday, I shook things up, piled us into my beat-up Sierra, drove to Griffith Park, and grabbed burgers from a food truck parked near the shimmering urban lake. We sprawled on the grass, watching kayaks cut through the water under a blazing sun, the cities hum a distant drone. He stretched out, kicking off his sneakers, and tossed me a fry with a grin. What? Checking if I'm still kicking, Aunt Sable? He teased, squinting against the light. I lobbed it back. Keep dreaming. I've seen rust buckets with more life than you after a long shift. He laughed, loud and easy. And for a moment he looked like the kid who used to beg me to let him steer my truck in the driveway years ago. We ate in the sun, grease-stained hands trading fries. And I thought maybe he was starting to climb out of that breakup hole. Back at the garage, a brutal transmission job on an old sedan had us scrambling. Him under the car, me feeding him tools, the lift groaning as we wrestled the gearbox into place. "You're solid, Zeke. Keep at it, and you could run your own shop one day," I said, wiping sweat off my forehead as he slid out, grease streaked across his cheek, nodding. "Thanks, that means something coming from you," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "You're teaching me everything I need." I shrugged. "Just passing it down, someone's gotta keep these clunkers rolling." He grinned. "I'm in, learning from you's better than any class." Friday hit with a vengeance. A wild storm crashed in, thunder shaking the tin roof, rain pelting the windows, lights flickering as we finished a brake job on a Civic well past midnight. "Lanterns, grab the ones on the shelf before we're in the dark," I called, and he darted over, setting them up on the workbench, their weak glow cutting through the gloom. We plopped onto the couch, splitting a six-pack, the air thick with humidity and the scent of wet concrete. "She never saw me, just wanted some perfect guy I'd never be," he said, cracking open a beer with a twist of his wrist. I leaned back, sipping mine, and said, "Her loss. You're real, Zeke, and that's worth more than she'll ever figure out." He grinned faintly. "You see that? I'm lucky to have you showing me the ropes." "Stick with it, kid, you're tougher than you think," I replied, and he nodded, settling into the quiet, the storm rumbling outside. Saturday morning, he was up early, coffee brewing, handing me a mug as I shuffled into the kitchen in my robe, hair a tangled mess from a short night. "We cool. Yesterday was a lot. Where do we stand?" he asked, scratching his neck, eyes flicking to me then away, a little nervous. "We're good, keep working hard, stay focused, and we're square," I said, sipping as he relaxed, shoulders loosening. "Good, I like it here, Aunt Sable." "Feels right," he said, and I nodded. "Then keep showing up, that's all I ask." The days stretched on, a steady grind. Him learning quick, me guiding him through oil changes, tire rotations, the works. One afternoon, a snobby customer in a cheap suit griped loud about a delay on his BMW, pacing the bay like he owned it, and Zeke stepped in, voice low but firm. "Lay off, Sable's doing her best." "Cool it." The guy backed down, muttering, and later I tossed Zeke a soda, smirking. "Nice save. Didn't need it, but you've got spine, kid." He popped the tab, grinning. "Couldn't let him hassle you, you're the boss." I laughed. "Damn right. Keep that energy, it'll serve you well." That night we fired up the grill out back, burgers sizzling, smoke curling into the twilight sky. He flipped patties with a grin, telling me about a lawnmower he'd fixed for a neighbor back home. "Guy thought it was toast, I got it purring again," he said, proud, handing me a bun. "See? You've got the touch, cars, mowers, whatever," I said, piling on ketchup. "Stick with me, and you'll be fixing anything with an engine." He nodded. "Deal, I'm in." Weeks rolled into August, the heat brutal, the shop a sauna. Zeke started picking up extra shifts at a chain oil change place down the road, coming back sweaty and full of stories. "Some dude today swore his car sounded funny. Fixed it in 10 minutes, shut him up," he said one night, kicking off his boots and flopping onto the couch next to me, a tired grin on his face. "You'd fit in anywhere, gritty real if you wanted to branch out," I said, and he shrugged. "Maybe, but I like learning from you best." His arms stretched along the couch back, relaxed, and I thought how he'd grown into this life faster than I'd expected, like the garage was sanding down his rough edges. One evening, Colt called. Same old flat tone, asking about the shop like he still had a stake in it after all these years. I barely listened, watching Zeke tinker with a carburetor across the room, sleeves rolled up, focused on getting the jets just right. "Busy," I said, cutting Colt off short. Zeke looked up, smirking. "Old man still nosing around. Tell him you've got better help now." I laughed. He'd lose it if he saw how we're keeping this place humming. One late Friday we were rushing a Jeep repair. Him under the frame, me handing tools. his focus razor-sharp as we got it done. "You're killing it, Zeke, makes my day easier," I said as he slid out, wiping his hands on his jeans. "Feels good working with you," he said, grinning wide. "Keep it up, you're part of this now," I replied, and he nodded. "Wouldn't trade it." Monday, a bratty kid from a client spilled soda all over my clean floor. Zeke jumped in. "Hey, watch it. Sable keeps this place spotless. Clean it up." I shot him a look, half irritated, half amused. "You're on guard duty now? I can handle it, but thanks, kid." He shrugged. "Just hate seeing anyone mess with your work, you do too much." I smirked. "Appreciated. Now mop it yourself if you're so fired up." He laughed, grabbing the mop with a mock salute. Tuesday, a parts shipment got delayed, and the shop was chaos. Zeke slammed a wrench down. "This is ridiculous." I grabbed his arm. "Cool it, Zeke, we deal with it. Don't take it out on the tools." He huffed, then nodded. "Sorry, Aunt Sable, just ticked off." "Happens, shake it off and keep going," I said, and he did, calming down, hands steady again. Wednesday night, we tackled a stubborn Toyota tune-up. Him close as we checked belts and filters, the job fighting us every step. "You're crowding me, Zeke. Give me room to breathe," I said, nudging him back. "Sorry, just trying to keep up," he said, stepping aside with a grin. "You're doing fine, pace yourself," I replied, and he nodded. "Learning that too." Thursday, a slick delivery guy leaned on the counter. "You're too good for this grease lady." Zeke cut in. "She's busy, move it." I smirked later. "Playing bouncer, Zeke? I can shut him down myself, but it's funny you jumped in." He shrugged. "Didn't like his attitude, you deserve respect." "Noted, keep that fire, just don't start a brawl," I said, and he laughed. "No promises." Friday night, he rushed an oil change and missed a step. I snapped. "Focus, Zeke. This sloppiness costs me. Get it together." He bristled. "I'm trying, Sable, don't act like I'm useless." We glared, then he softened. "I'll fix it, sorry." "Good, prove it and we're square," I said, and he did, steady again. Saturday night, shop dark, we sat on the couch. Beers cold, air easy. "This place feels like home now, thanks for letting me stay," he said quiet. "You earned it, kid. Keep showing up and you've got a spot here," I replied. He grinned. "Deal, I'm not going anywhere." After that, the garage became our rhythm. Days of hard work, nights of stories, a bond built on sweat and steel. One morning he hesitated. "Sable, I was scared I'd mess this up, glad I didn't." I clapped his shoulder. "You're doing great, risk paid off." In the hum of engines and the clang of tools, we found a steady groove, a team holding strong against whatever came next. Saturday night came. The garage silent under a sky painted orange and purple as the Los Angeles sun sank low. We'd finished a tough fuel pump swap on a Toyota Corolla just past 8, tools stowed, floor swept, bay doors locked. Zeke and I slumped onto the back office couch, and I grabbed 2 cold sodas from the mini-fridge, the hiss of the cans cutting the stillness. He kicked off his sneakers, hair sweaty, and grinned. "That pump nearly beat me, Aunt Sable. Thought it'd never budge." I sipped mine, chuckling. "You won, kid, that's what matters. You're tougher than rust." He leaned back, staring at the stained ceiling, and sighed. "This place feels like home now. Thanks for letting me stay. I was a mess when I got here." His voice was soft, carrying the weight of months past. Breakup, drift, all that chaos. I set my soda on the cluttered desk and nodded. "You earned it, Zeke. Showed up, worked hard. I'm proud of you." He smirked. "Don't get sappy, I'm just here for the pizza." I tossed a chip at him. "Dream on, pizza's extra." We sat, fridge humming, traffic buzzing faintly, and I saw how far he'd come. Shaky hands turned steady, lost looks replaced by grins. The garage had saved him like it had me after Colt left. A place to fix more than cars. "What's next?" asked casually. He shrugged, rolling the can in his hands. "Maybe stick with this, fixing stuff feels right. Could see it long term." I nodded. "Good, cars aren't going anywhere. You've got the knack." Monday hit hard. Jobs piled up, phones rang non-stop, and a delivery guy dumped oil filters in the bay. Zeke hauled them clear before I could yell, and I grinned. On it today, huh? He flashed a thumbs up. Gotta keep the boss happy. By noon we'd done 3 oil changes and a tire rotation, smooth as clockwork. Old Mr. Hensley rolled in with his Buick, griping about a noise, and Zeke fixed a loose fan belt in 10 minutes. All set, Mr. H, he said, earning a grunted nod and a crumpled 5. I smirked. Charming the grumps, watch out, I might lose my crown. He laughed. You're still queen of this heap. Tuesday, a suit demanded his BMW overhauled yesterday, barking orders. Zeke stepped up. Cool it, she's busy. We'll get to it. The guy backed off and I nudged Zeke later. Guard dog? I can handle suits, but nice save. He grinned. You run this, I've got your back. That night we grilled burgers out back, smoke rising, him flipping patties, sharing chain shop tales. Guy thought his muffler was haunted, just loose, he said. I laughed. You're a natural, keep it up. August heat baked us. Zeke juggled shifts, came back sweaty, hands calloused. Colt called one night, droning about the shop. I watched Zeke tweak a carburetor and cut him off. Busy. Zeke smirked. Old man still nosy. Tell him I've got it covered. By late August he was solo on tune-ups, brake jobs. Smooth, confident. I'd watch, arms crossed, thinking he'd made this permanent. One Sunday we drove the Sierra to the coast, windows down, salt air cutting the grease. We ate fish tacos on the hood, waves crashing. Miss her? Yes. He shook his head. Nah, this is better. Real. I nodded. Good, you're tougher now. Future's yours here. He grinned. Maybe my own shop someday, but I'm with you till then. I clapped his shoulder. Deal, plenty of time. September cooled the air. Zeke sketched shop upgrades. New paint, a sturdy sign. Could make it ours, he said, pencil on a napkin. I raised an eyebrow. Ours, huh? He laughed. You gave me a shot, I owe you. Next weekend we painted the walls gray and blue, radio blaring, paint splattering. By dusk it looked sharp and he grinned. Not bad, right? I nodded. Not bad, ours now. One October morning he fidgeted with a wrench. Sable, I thought I'd flop here, glad I didn't. I met his eyes. You didn't, you showed up. I'm proud, kid. He grinned. Thanks, means a lot. I clapped his shoulder. Your family, this is yours too. He nodded. Family, I'm staying. The garage rolled on. Days of steel, nights of stories, a rhythm we'd forged. Customers asked for the kid, and I'd smirk, watching him shine. He'd found his place, and I'd gained a partner. Under fresh paint, amid clanging tools, Sable's garage was ours, a testament to grit and a bond that stood firm.